Just sit back and imagine for a second being the ruler of technically 70% of planet Earth, the world, and people still trying to disrespect you. Let's get into it. We're talking about an ocean legend today. He was a baby named Orin back in the earlier days of comic lore. There was a great king back in the day that ruled when the continent sank into the oceans. His mother, Atlanta, thought his birth was a dream when it wasn't. She apparently abandoned the baby, but the baby inherited Atlantean abilities to breathe air as well as water and did not suffocate. He can communicate with all sea creatures on top of this. There was this dolphin that adopted him. Over time, he became self-sufficient and considered himself merely another dolphin. Realizing it wasn't his destiny to always chill with dolphins, he felt like he wasn't belonging with the dolphins, so he went up to the top, the surface world. He had followed a human vehicle for days. Then he noticed the lighthouse. Aquaman at this time wasn't understanding why humans was always killing sea creatures. I'm assuming Aquaman wasn't nowhere near his high levels of power he is now during these earlier comic days because the human evidently beat him in the fight, tied him up, and that's when Aquaman discovered his limits in not being able to stay on land too long. But then the human threw him back in the water because he recognized this. They ended up forming a bond weirdly later on. The boy showed his gratitude by replacing what he realized was to have been the human supper. They basically became inseparable, kind of like father and son. Then the father ended up teaching Aquaman stuff about the human world. He started soaking up the knowledge like a sponge. That's where we see the name Arthur Curry being brought up. That's why his name is Arthur Jr. All else is history. Basically, this page just says everything I already just explained. He's abandoned, became a founding member of the Justice League, and communicate with creatures of all types. Here's a fun visual of the timeline for you if you like. Yeah, DC be breaking down these stuff for us. It's almost like he is the ocean. He can tap into a living network of creatures in the ocean. It's almost like you can't hide from him in the sea, really. He knows everything that's going on in the entire sea. All the sea is his eyes. He knows everything any creature has ever known. He can even share his experiences with the different sea creatures. He can link with a whole bunch of different creatures at the same time. Anyway, other than his body being super dense and can withstand the pressures of the deep ocean, how strong is his muscles and such? Do me a favor and lift up your friend like this. Trust me, you can't, not with one arm. We've seen him actually lift a couple tons by tossing a car. Don't try to restrain him with metal. A lot of times he can just bust out with his muscle because we've seen him do this more than once. We've seen him bust chains, robotic squids he can rip apart with his strength, can flex, bust out of ice. Another occasion of it, staircases he can rip apart with his muscle. None of this seems to be his limit. He can toss trucks. Do me a favor and Google the weight of certain buses. Trust me, some of them weigh over 10 tons. He can lift them up and toss these buses. He can pull walls out. Look how effortless this looks. How much do you think this construction vehicle weighs? Can lift all of this up. Let's just say he can lift over 100 tons, even close to 1,000 tons. We literally see him lift up the street with different vehicles on it all at the same time. Like these are trucks and stuff and cars all on top of this. He's lifting it up. Sea monsters that are larger than him, he can stop them from biting on him. Look at the ships he can pull to shore. With a huge chain, we can see him toss around some building. It looks to appear to be some building foundation. Straight up seen him pull a cruise ship, things that can weigh 50,000, even up to 100,000 tons. He can rip rudders off of submarines. Look what his muscle can do to an oil tanker. Just shaking it. Yeah, people on top feel it. Yeah, thousands of tons. He was able to stabilize this pillar that was holding up a skyscraper. We've seen him straight up support the weight of a building, especially when they kept him hydrated. Hey, anything a sea creature can do, I would say Aquaman can do better. We got whales out here supporting the weight of buildings. Let's be honest, he probably can support the weight of 1,000,000 tons, yo. I mean, he can physically rip off the heads of mystical beasts and toss them around like Cerberus. Why do you think he has the strength to rip apart mechs? You can say even more when it comes to water manipulation on how much he can lift. He can produce a lot of water at once, like making huge tsunamis. But even without counting occasions like this of him manipulating water, his muscle is implied to even be greater than even building lifting type of power. DC Comics lanterns have a history of having constructs that are strong enough to move planetoids or moons or produce energy that can put the planet back together. Like Green Lantern top tiers can do this kind of stuff. Lanterns is the reason why Superman was able to get a grip on the earth and help move it. You're probably thinking, what does lanterns have to do with Aquaman? Well, here's the thing. Top tier Green Lanterns like Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner, vice versa. You can debate on who's mightier with their constructs, Kyle or Hal Jordan. It doesn't really matter. Just know they're pretty close to each other, Kyle Rayner and Hal Jordan. That's the point. Because at least when he's fully hydrated, there could be some implications that Aquaman might be able to lift planets or have the strength capable of doing that too. Because when lanterns like Kyle Rayner try to trap Aquaman in a construct, we literally see Aquaman's muscles power out of his constructs. If forcing his way out of Green Lantern constructs isn't enough to impress you, what about him flexing his way out of Swamp Thing's vines? Am I tripping, or is powering out of a Green Lantern construct kind of more impressive than lifting a planet? Or is this just me? It's not like we haven't seen Aquaman along with other characters helping restrain powerhouses like Martian the Manhunter. Someone in the past that we have seen also help move planets with his Martian muscles. What about the weight of his hits? Do they match up with this stuff? We've seen him punch Yellow Lantern constructs and do damage to him. We've seen him kind of box with Kyle Rayner, y'all, and damage him even though he has his shields or energy aura protecting him up. This would kind of imply planet-shattering type of power. There's a lot of occasions showing off the weight of his hits. Just a friendly reminder that Kyle can contain energies from destructions of whole entire galaxies, and his energy can withstand this kind of stuff. That's why I say Aquaman damaging this being kind of is leagues above planet-shattering type of levels of power. Doing real damage to lanterns is way more impressive than planet-shattering, honestly. I don't think you guys understand that lanterns in DC can withstand being at the center of the Big Bang and survive. Their shielding can survive that kind of power. It just blasts them far away. He's punching and dealing with beings that have to shield from energy that could level multiple galaxies, y'all. Let that sink in. These are the beings he has to punch. There's beings that Hal Jordan has issues with, like Titus, that we see Aquaman affect better when he's ridiculously hydrated with his punches. With this kind of power, it's no surprise when he does less impressive things like punching through a hull of a submarine. If he can damage Green Lanterns, this is easy. He's one of those characters where he's so strong, he accidentally breaks tables without noticing what he does. That's why we see him tear up lava demons. Lava beings he busts up. He can mess up armies, tackle beings through buildings. This is how people go flying when they get punched by Aquaman. Can hit beings so hard they go through the ground. Look how much power he has to hold back. Just a simple tap, they put the words tap, and these guys go flying. He has to hold back his strength. Underwater soldiers, backhand, y'all. Aquaman is narrated as one of the forces on this earth that cannot be stopped when this opponent was talking about him. Other Aqua-themed type characters he can overpower on a consistent basis, like Tempest, and others like King Shark, who he actually knocked out, by the way. You see what I mean by now when I'm saying he can hang with beings that can hit harder than black holes themselves? He can hit hard enough to accidentally knock out Mira, kick the crap out of Aqualad, Atlantean magicians he can box. If you're not durable enough, he can simply punch your head off. He can one-punch certain beings. Ocean Master, who was powered up by these gems, was binding Aquaman. Aquaman muscles out of these bindings and punches Ocean Master. Smacks him, you could say. He even struck a powerhouse like Maxima. She's one of the few other beings other than Superman that can actually damage Doomsday. Yo, even her against Superman. Whether it's her punches or blasts or her durability, Superman straight up says her blast hurt. That's why Aquaman doing this is insane. Look at her facial expression. But you remember how earlier I brought up Martian Manhunter? Somebody that's a powerhouse in DC as well, there was this Olympian rat that was boxing with Martian the Manhunter. Yeah, doing all this to Martian the Manhunter. We see Aquaman take on this same Olympian, throw his trident, hit him this hard, punch him this hard, and make him drowsy. I see blood. If you think this is BS, we've seen him punch and damage Martian Manhunter when he was disguised as Superman. You know, he can shapeshift. So, yeah, this is another occasion of Aquaman's might against the powerhouses. Even in older comics, he's been shown to hit hard enough to quote-unquote send him back to Mars with that punch. Yeah, I know it's a pun, but still crazy. If you still think I'm BS, look at this occasion of him boxing with Martian Manhunter here in a panel-for-panel type of situation. This is crucial because even Superman has an insanely high respect for Martian Manhunter. There's this being that literally absorbed the powers of Superman. No, I'm not exaggerating. We literally see him punching this being that just got the powers of Superman, making him drowsy, y'all. Do we even need to start dissecting all the stuff Superman's done? That's ridiculous. Like, we literally seen Superman literally hit or stagger a being that's an actual universe, adult universe. Yep. Like, even if you want to say he's not all the way equal to Kryptonians, he ain't that far behind. I mean, he can strike Kryptonians with his kicks, like Superboy, and they straight up say, ouch. So yeah, his hits ain't light. Working together with some people, this was a help feat, but the fact that he was a helpful aid in helping knocking out Superboy, that's ridiculous, a Kryptonian tier. Well, just in case you think all this is BS about him being able to kind of sting Kryptonians, even if he's not all the way equal, you got to look at tanks like Despero that has to withstand hits from all the heaviest hitters in DC Comics at the same time and still hold his ground. I would say anything his creatures he commands can do, Aquaman can do better. If he can summon sharks that can make Despero yell in pain, how deadly do you think Aquaman is when he's fully hydrated? Look at these facial expressions. Look what this guy can do to Martian Manhunter, yo. Aquaman can pierce him. Like, we literally see Aquaman box out with this powerhouse. Some of this is a mixture of his blunt power, but then, of course, he uses telepathy, which I haven't went over in this video yet. He's a very strong telepath, by the way. This is what Despero can do to Superman with his strengths. Look at all these panels of powerhouses hitting him. Justice League and Justice Society, him countering all these beings. Them occasions with Despero should just show he's somewhere in the heavy hitters ballpark. Even if he's not completely equal to Despero Superman, he's up there still. There's clear weight behind his hits when there's beings that are strong enough to hit Superman red. And do I see discomfort? Yep. We've seen Aquaman be a helpful aid in harming this entity, hitting this entity that can damage Superman red. What does that imply about Aquaman? Yeah, look at Aquaman's armor here. Kind of looks cool, but we see him take on an Imperiex probe. In this occasion, it's actually with gear. You can say with his strength and gear combined, he can take on beings that are absurdly powerful. Things that can take on multiple members of the Justice League, including Kyle, Flash, Martian Manhunter, powerhouses in DC. Get done like this. Yeah, Plastic Man's even here by an Imperiex probe. Oh, what do you know? Aquaman's here helping too. It's impressive that Aquaman was able to get this done like this. So with his blunt hits, he's already scary. If we add his gear on top of it, it's just this but greater. Yeah, but he can affect this being also without his gear too, with just straight punches though. I want to make that clear. This Imperiex probe. All this stuff I mentioned throughout this video, it's the same for his durability. His body can withstand his own recoil, slugfesting with Lobo kinda, sorta. Somebody who's strong enough narrated against other powerhouses, godlike beings like Shazam, can hit hard enough to rock the cosmos itself. This is the same guy Aquaman is getting hit by. So shooting him with bullets is a waste of time. Same with missiles to the chest. Wonder Woman hits him. Another occasion, taking hits from Martian Manhunter. Even blasts from Martian Manhunter like Martian Vision. Poseidon Tridents, he has to withstand blasts from. They even talk about how his enhanced durability is allowing him from not being torn apart like normal humans would. How is he not a powerhouse when there's stuff that knocks out Orion level beings, Darkseid level beings that can withstand Omega beams hitting him? Yeah, Orion is Darkseid's equal in comics and in handbooks, at least during this earlier point in time, because Darkseid lately in DC is kind of getting crazy. But talking about back then, something that knocked out Darkseid, rival beings that like Orion, new gods. Somehow and miraculously, Aquaman didn't get knocked out. But these characters are holding back. Well, what about when the characters we love are possessed and they don't have nothing restricting their morals, and Aquaman still gets hit by these beings and doesn't die and stays conscious? Beings like Power Girl possessed with Eclipso. Oh, as fast as he is, on land it's actually crazy because he doesn't have to deal with the crushing pressures of the ocean. He's way faster without the pressure on land. Speed blitzing these guys with guns on him. He can react to harpoons even while young and not in his prime. He caught one here, another harpoon. He can straight up speed blitz these soldiers, then throw concrete at them, blitz his cops. Can swim fast enough to make his own whirlwind. Atlanteans are just fast, but Aquaman's an exceptionally fast Atlantean. It's not that he needs to dodge his bullets. He just can if he has to. Pulls a rock in front of him before the bullets hit him here. I mean, majority of the characters I've been showing you him fight in this video are way faster than the speed of light, so it would be weird if he couldn't react at that speed too, competing with these same powerhouse beings, gods and such. He's dealing with beings that are forever shooting lasers at them, whether it be heat vision from Superman, whether it's Black Manta or laser guns. He's always reacting to this kind of stuff. Just in case you didn't know, Aquaman can use different weapons, blades, spears, harpoons, tridents, he's skilled at that stuff. See, Black Manta's one of his main foes he's always having to encounter. I mean, I already showed this, but yeah, he's literally dodging lasers from beings like Despero, Superman level beings. Something I'm going to bring up again later on in the video, telepathy. He can use his telepathy to increase his combat speed, you could say, because in this occasion, he can't use his eyes, but he can still dodge your attacks by knowing what you're going to do before you do it. How fast can he swim? He can swim faster than the speed of sound, and it's proven he can move 8 times faster than the speed of sound. He's consistently shown to be faster than torpedoes throughout his comics in raw point A to point B speed. Oh yeah, and Aquaman can control the smallest creatures that you don't even know exist, so he's a scary character. He's smarter than you would expect when it comes to technology or techie stuff too, recreating the entire database for the JLA. You've seen a lot of power type stuff so far, but you've also seen a hint of his versatility in different ways he can attack you and hurt you. Like his hand and his telepathy. You would expect him to have that with sea life, but no, it's more than just communicating with sea life. You see him doing it to other beings or people, mind smacking different folks. White Martians who are not sea creatures, we see him give them a seizure, probing Martian Manhunter's thoughts without his permission, telepathically attacking artificial intelligence. Aliens he can connect to. This dude is out here making birds fight you. It's more than just summoning sea life in this era of comics. Narrated to give you an entire speech in the blink of an eye. Aquaman just straight up tells this guy that he's a straight up telepath. That's why he can slice people's minds. I mean, that's why he can take multiple attacks from multiple telepaths at the same time. He's one of those type of characters that's so deep with telepathic type stuff, he might be able to cure you of your split personality problems. Even your mystical shields can't stop him from calling for aid from his creatures. He can even control manufactured sea life, manufactured creatures. Sea beast, I would say he specializes in like controlling sea beast and telepathy with sea beast, though, I would say, because he can make you freaking forget that he's the one that punched you. Guys, these aren't lightweights he's affecting with telepathy. Even characters like Swamp Thing, powerhouses. He controlled a Green Lantern ring. It makes sense because even Martian Manhunter revealed how Aquaman has absurd willpower. Somebody explained to me how this works. He went in somebody's head and devolved them. And back to his original de-evolution? Like what the? And speaking of evolution in this era, yeah, he's had this era where he had different hands or cybernetic hooks and stuff. Like the cybernetic hook for a little while was linked to him via his mind and such. It can drill like retract, enter, can blast with some sort of electricity, can resist energy attacks. The reason why I'm saying all this is because you was probably wondering throughout this video why sometimes his hands look normal like this, and different times throughout the video it would look like this, and then like this. Yeah, that's why he had different hands through the different times. He can use this hook to cut characters, but this is not the reason why he's strong, though. He can punch really hard regardless of these weapons on his body. You literally see him cut on this very same panel, and then you just see him strike with blunt strikes. So yeah, he can just hit hard with his blunt hits. The weapon does not make the man. Aquaman's been through some adventures, yeah, getting rid of this hook. This is basically how he got his water bearer hand. Yeah, all these women, these maidens, basically they introduce themselves. It's time for the age of the water bearer. And that's how this happened. Aquaman telepathically looked into the hand that he just got, getting flooded with information about it. He notices that it seems to respond to his own thoughts, able to increase his surface tension so he can pick up physical objects. It was the secret sea he stumbled upon. It was nothing like he ever came across. This basically said how this hand is a gift, blah, blah, blah. The hand can amplify and focus his natural telepathic ability. He has access to this place known as the secret sea. They talk about it here. Sometimes he uses it to undo sorcery. It's the secret sea that amplifies or helps focus his telepathy. He can dive right into the secret sea. It's like an ocean of commonly shared ideas. Instead of H2O we're swimming in, everything anyone ever imagined or will imagine. The idea is that humanity sees certain beings as big figures, like how they see Apollo and Hades here, and then how they see Batman and Superman here. It's the same picture, but different ideas throughout the different ages. And the dude that he's talking to is confused. He's saying, wait a minute, is this implying that you're the modern equivalent to Neptune? Well, I guess technically so. That allows him to heal. He can detach it from his body, can heal you if you have speaking issues or brain challenges. You could argue he could reverse enchantments thanks to this hand, or how they say it, deflate the dark sorcery that corrupted and enslaved this being. If you're near death, let's just say he can heal you. His hand, I quote, senses the spiritual dimension of water flowing through the poisons. Yo, this is some deep stuff. Stated he could make it as solid as steel if he tried. Can shapeshift it into like a spiked fist. He can filter out the worst of the chemical contamination all around them in the water with his hand. As the water bearer, you can basically say he has hydrokinesis, making water to stand on. That's why you see him do some Moses type stuff, or just create huge waves. That's why. Can do some mini surgery by going in your ear real quick. He doesn't keep this water bearer hand forever in comics, but he's still a powerhouse without it. He ends up getting a liquid metal hand that can shapeshift into a shield to block. Simply by envisioning that he can do it, turning into a mace. That's why he'll go from blunt to bladed on the spot. Oh yeah, he can survive unaided in space, just in case you didn't know. Oh, by the way, he can rehydrate himself with blood. I'm trying to make this video not heavy on temporary power-ups, but it would be weird if he didn't become a elemental at one point, a water elemental, because, you know, he's Aquaman, water in the sea. It makes sense. They have to do it to him at least once, right? Being actual water, right? But this kind of stuff doesn't actually last, though. Like I said, it doesn't need this stuff to be strong. In newer continuity Aquaman stuff or lore, it's kind of the same stuff. Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman, son of the human Tom Curry, which is a little different from the post-crisis stuff, and an Atlantean woman raised by his father on land. Arthur eventually took up his rightful place on the throne as king of Atlantis. Your standard powers, and even more than this page even shown. He can breathe underwater, swim at incredible speeds, communicate with most forms of aquatic animal life, and more stuff that I'm going to say throughout this video. No matter which continuity, at the end of the day, he's always going to be an Atlantean. That seems to love macking with Mira, even if it's a fake version of Mira. Let's get into how strong he is, because he does possess incredible strength and has super tough skin on top of it. can easily snap handcuffs. Other Atlanteans are superhumanly strong, but he's way stronger than your normal Atlantean. You can see how he flexes off of all of these ones, for example. Larger creatures he can toss really far. Lifting up a couple tons is easy. He can lift a car in each hand. Look on how effortless lifting cars and throwing them is. And how much do you think all of this weighs? What about this vehicle and this vehicle? Or dragging and tossing around huge creatures with his muscle? How heavy do you think this stone column is he can lift? While younger, he can stop large boats like this from crashing, despite the size difference. Angles like this, you can see how big this boat was. Obviously, his legs are really strong. Look how far he can jump. He can stab into trucks, lift up the trucks, and toss the truck. Buses can weigh 10 tons. He can toss buses at Ocean Master, for example. He can tear open the sides of submarines. This has to be over 100 tons, but this did seem like a team effort, though. Look how small Aquaman looks in comparison to all. This junk is way over 100 tons. Look how small he looks in comparison to beings like Giganta, who are definitely over 100 tons, probably at this height, and says, "Get off of me." Sections of buildings that are about to fall. He's this strong. Like, imagine thinking you're gonna grapple him just for him to flex out despite y'all being big. Like, you see this beast giving Wonder Woman issue? Look at her face. Yep. This thing is big, stepping on Aquaman. Aquaman's strength can do this to his legs still. Let me grab the chain and pull these huge boats that you see Aquaman do here. It kind of makes sense. He's a water-themed character. It makes sense for him to pull a lot of boats. He's in the ocean a lot. Of course he pulls a lot of boats. Lifting up a submarine is one thing, but throwing it from the bottom of the ocean all the way to the top with one toss implies that he can definitely lift over thousands of tons. Warships that are sunken, we can see him ram this into other beings. Look how small he is in comparison to this mess. Yeah, this junk is humongous. Being able to straight up lift cruise ships is crazy work, considering they can weigh 50,000 or even more, hundreds of thousands of tons, like building size structures. He has feats that imply he can lift or even move mountains. This apparent tectonic plate type feat he can move with the help of Mira. So not only is it implied he can lift over 100,000 tons, but way more. Like, in theory, you can drop millions or billions of tons an island on him. He would still have the strength to lift it up, technically, based on this information. I mean, he's just forever tossing around heavy stuff for heavy beings, even if they're made of fiery type of stuff, implying that he's kind of resistant to heat too. But there's some suspicious occasions where there could be implications his muscle could be up there with the heavy hitters like Wonder Woman, because look at Wonder Woman's face, looking like she's struggling, right? Yet Aquaman can do this. And then when we talk about when he's fully hydrated, like Wonder Woman level beings in headlocks like this, like beings like Cheetah, this is a being that's a threat for even Wonder Woman, to the point where they say if we hold back, we will die, implying these things were life-threatening to even Wonder Woman tiers, apparently. Along with seeing Aquaman hydrated wrestle Wonder Woman level beings like Cheetah, we actually have some mysterious occasions of his muscles clashing with Wonder Woman's muscle when they're not in their right mind, of course. Like, it seems like if there was a vast muscle gap, these panels would play out a lot different. But it doesn't seem to be a vast gap. We see her holding him, but yet he's able to twist the hold. If she was 5 billion times stronger, I doubt he would be able to break her a lot like this, implying that he's somewhere in that range when they both was not in their right mind. Wonder Woman is basically a deity, godlike strength. Somebody like Wonder Woman can definitely move entire planets. So saying Aquaman caps at being able to only move an island or lift an island seems like unfair when you look at the beings he's got to compete with, the stuff they can do. Like, we haven't seen Aquaman actually physically move a planet, but based on the powerhouses in DC, I wouldn't be surprised if one day we see him do it. Based on his muscles clashing with Wonder Woman, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody made an argument that he could lift planets too, based on how he can mysteriously match Wonder Woman's muscles somehow, you know? But I could be tripping. Somebody that can lift this kind of weight, match the muscles of Wonder Woman, it's obvious the weight of their punches would be hard. Wouldn't you agree? You can look at how the comics imply how he can hit hard. He has to be careful because he can put beings in a coma with just one hit. Even when he's young, he's out here one-shot punching different hammerheads. Like, it's even talked about he's got so much overwhelming power when he knows he's going to get beings that are way out of his strength tier, he has to take it easy on you and not put too much weight behind his hits so he won't accidentally murk you, like what he does to her here. So when you see him clash with beings, like in the past, these were the beings he has to clash with. Beings hit this hard to sink the entirety of Atlantis. Underwater, way more force than any nuclear bomb. Similar blows like this, he has to clash with the dead king that hit this hard, saying he's destroyed Atlantis once before with his scepter. He will do it again. Aquaman says, no, he stops this same mighty blow, something that could sink Atlantis. So obviously his punches are gazillions of times stronger than nukes, obviously. Yeah, his fists are this crazy, but yeah, he has gear and he can throw his gear with so much force to where he can cause a volcanic eruption. Notice how missiles do nothing to this creature. Here we got Aquaman way smaller than all that stuff, just hitting this creature, doing way more damage to it, despite the size difference. Powerhouses in DC having the punching power to destroy stuff like moons, Earths, it's not really a big deal in DC at this point. It's a common thing for the powerhouses that compete with other powerhouses to do this thing. You see this being doing this to Superman, and we see Aquaman, Mammoth, somebody that's really strong and durable. Superman is the same guy that can withstand hits from stuff that could crack a continent, just casually goes through a black hole like it ain't no big deal, and survives it. This is the kind of beings that are punching Superman, and Aquaman's implied to hurt those same beings. That's doing this to Superman, and then Aquaman punches that same being. You see what I mean? Trust me, black holes are way more devastating than planet-busting type of energy. If you still have your doubts about this black hole stuff for Aquaman, well, let's look at this occasion with Superman. Sure, Superman was holding back. Neither of them probably trying to murder each other, though, but still. Yeah, I'm not trying to say he's like completely equal to Superman in this point in time yet. That's for later on in the video. But it shows he's hanging in there. It doesn't like Superman's too damaged, though. I will admit that, though. There's clear weight behind his hits, though. That part's clear. And another way to look at Aquaman's might, look at who he's always fighting, beings like Ocean Master. Who's one of like his biggest foes ever? Aquaman and Ocean Master have to constantly fight, and Aquaman even gets the advantage over this same being. Why is this important? Because, well, this same being, Ocean Master, was able to do this to Wonder Woman and Superman. You're probably thinking Superman don't count because Superman don't do magic. Well, what's Wonder Woman's excuse? She's still kind of looking drowsy, despite her having resistance to magic when Superman does it. Do I have to show y'all every time him and Ocean Master clash? This is a clear narrative rivalry, and you see what Ocean Master can do to powerhouses. Powerhouses that are resistant to magic, so you can't use that magic excuse. These characters are just stronger than what you probably think. He's always the one that boxes with Ocean Master, even busting his mask up here with a punch, kick. Whole different comic issues of these two clashing with each other, showing skills and just raw power in general, how hard each other can hit. There's like plenty of examples that I can't even go over all of them in this video. He's boxed with super sharks, consistently battling and overpowering his rivals, different characters like Black Manta. Him and Flash even have team-up comics working together where they gotta fight living spaceships that eat Speed Force energy. One of the coolest feats of all time is when we actually see Aquaman throw down with Hercules, DC Comics Hercules. We actually see a 2-round session with Hercules and Aquaman. In the first round, we all can agree that Hercules got the advantage, especially on dry land, but you know how Aquaman can kind of change tiers depending on the environment. If he's super hydrated, if he's underwater, Hercules made a big mistake doing this, which made him be able to jump to his level and just straight up box him and then have a home field advantage underwater. This would have tied just straight up turns where he used his creatures to gang up on him while he's wailing on him and got the advantage over Hercules. How can Aquaman not be a powerhouse in DC? Do you know Hercules is part of the reason why Shazam is so freaking strong, somebody that's Superman level? And Shazam and Superman have a history of being on each other's level when it comes to how hard each other can hit or punch, their strength. This is why Aquaman boxing with Hercules is insane. Hercules is the main reason why Shazam is so physically strong. The strength of Hercules, you know. You got this occasion him clashing with Wonder Woman. It don't seem like the gap in power is that far, y'all. I mean, somebody explain this on how he can fist fight with Wonder Woman. Like, again, without no trident. How's Aquaman a lower tier if he can do this? I see blood coming from her mouth. The writers wouldn't put these fights together like this if they just thought it was one-sided. Even if one is lower, he's somewhere in that neighborhood. So it's best to not try to shoot him. He can take what he can dish out. Your best bet is to try to catch him when he's super dehydrated, because if not, yeah, you're done. We see him withstanding bullets here. Look what happens when Killer Croc tries to bite him. So yeah, look at this creature trying to bite him. No. If by some miracle you get past his durability, he can actually heal faster than normal beings. I low-key feel bad for Gorilla Grodd. Like, he just got curb stomped. On dry land. Imagine if this was water. Like, he really tried to box it out with Aquaman physically. Aquaman withstands his hits, you know, because Gorilla Grodd's stronger than your average gorilla, but then he just overwhelms Grodd, punches Superman here. Aquaman, along with others, while underwater, was boxing with Martian Manhunter. Another one of the big three powerhouses of the Justice League, along with Wonder Woman, Superman. He's one of the three beings you bring up when you bring up powerhouses. Let's just say, okay, he slightly got a disadvantage on dry land. Whatever he lacks there, he makes up for it in the water, or his standard gear, you could say, whatever his fist punches might lack. His gear can cut Kryptonian gods like Rao, somebody that's Superman level easily. And with his gear, his trident, he can stab Darkseid's eye. So whatever he might lack with his muscles or punches, there's no doubt with his gear, it makes up for it. Even on dry land. Darkseid has withstood it, universes smacking him in the face, like multiple universes smacking him in the face and stuff like that. And Aquaman's trident can pierce him? Darkseid's one of those characters that's resistant to everything, basically, and he still could stab him. It's the same Darkseid that's always team busting and such. Yet Aquaman could do this. There was this occasion with Flash where they was trapped in a world-crushing monster. At this particular point in time, Flash was completely empty when it comes to Speed Force energy. And there was this being that was eating Speed Force energy. So he figured, oh, let me just eat up this Speed Force energy and everything should be good now. Aquaman said no. An entire planet worth of energy would obliterate even the Flash, even though he's empty right now. But Aquaman has something that can channel that ridiculous energy. It's this Trident. Channel that Speed Force through him, even though even Flash, when he was empty, couldn't take it. Thanks to his Trident, he would be able to take it. More implications of him being a powerhouse with these two working together, the fastest man alive and the most powerful man under the sea put together. So Aquaman can channel a lot of energy. The Speed Force spoke through them. Now, in raw speed, he can swim to the different corners of the earth in an extremely short amount of time. He can react to bullets, combat speed wise. His hands are actually fast enough to block bullets. These Atlantean guns, which are probably better than normal guns, he can block his staff with. It's the same with different forms of energy he can react to. He consistently has to deal with beings that shoot lasers at him, like Black Manta. Normal humans are like slow motion. Look at these people aiming their guns. Blitzes, these two beings, before they know what's going on, using his travel speed in combat. I mean, you've seen plenty of examples of him boxing with powerhouses. Obviously, there's not a large speed gap between him and the powerhouses. So yeah, he's way faster than the speed of light, reflex-wise. So saying he can only swim at over 200 miles per hour is a low ball. There's sea crafts that can't keep up with him. Him swimming to different corners of the earth kind of implies he's way, way faster than 5 times faster than the speed of sound. Yeah, he's hypersonic speed, very fast. I would make a great argument he's way faster than the speed of sound, because how many characters do you know that can race Flash for fun in one of their adventures, and he's not considered a slowpoke? And it seemed like they was pretty neck and neck, even though that was for fun. He has incredible point A to point B speed. He's very versatile. He has hearing that's like Superman's. His eyes can see normally at the bottom of the ocean. Everybody knows he can communicate. Creatures of all sorts. In newer comics, they give a more precise explanation on what's going on, not talking to fish. They're too primitive to have a conversation. He explains he technically just reaches into their midbrain and telepathically push them to help. His range is insane, to the point where it's like infinite range. He can reach out even across time and space, across dimensions, to talk to sea life. Even talked about here on how even though he's in their dimension, he can hear it screaming the ocean. While he is a telepath in this era, he admits that's not his specialty though. He specializes in using telepathy with sea creatures and stuff and animals, but when it comes to other beings, that's not his specialty. While that's something Martian Manhunter specializes in. But you're out of luck if you're half aquatic. He can still control you. He can communicate with the water. Trident of Neptune. Seems like electrical manipulation is a theme, especially if we talk about him using his gear on top of all this. It seems like no matter which Trident he uses, both of them can produce electricity, like the Neptune did it here. This Trident of Poseidon has electrokinesis too, so we see him punch with his raw blunt strength with his fist, but when he pulls out this Trident, it's even worse, especially when you consider piercing damage and its magical nature, its durability, stuff like that. These Tridents can help increase his attacks even harder due to the material they're made of and them being magical in nature. That's why we see it clash with beings like Morgan Le Fay. Yeah, Marvel has their own version of Morgan Le Fay and DC has their version of Morgan Le Fay. It was this Trident that's ridiculously strong. It was known as the Trident of Neptune. But I would say it definitely gives him some extra perks than he would usually have. Like he has control over the storm, control over the wind and rain, the thunder and lightning. Just like the other Trident, this one is resistant to magic too, thanks to Poseidon's blessing. It has convenient abilities like being able to shrink up to like a glaive, or it can extend. With this Trident, he has ice manipulation. You see it producing ice here, or even moving the earth or rock. So even if in this new continuity he doesn't have the water bearer hand, he still has ways to use ice without that post-crisis era type stuff. This Trident gives him the ability to teleport, narrate it, teleport to another planet. His Trident allows for temporary fixes when somebody's dying, and it can create its own shields, and also block magic like the other one I already showed, and gives him great resistance to magical spells. He can summon large waves like this with the Trident of Poseidon. So in both continuities, he has multiple different ways or accesses to have water type of manipulation. Aquaman's had some cool armors or designs or just tridents in this era. I mean, he's royal. What do you expect? And then in newer type comics, in 2025, he gets this Trilance saber made for him, made for the Dark Tide. He can slice ships with this, obviously, but it also feels like it's a part of him, the way he says it. He says the blade is as light as the water we fight in. It moves with my body almost before I can think to do it, like an innate reaction. They really doubled down on saying it's a piece of him, even though it's gear. And it wouldn't be an Aquaman trident or weapon without some type of electric manipulation. Every piece of gear I bring up with him, or sword or whatever with him, melee weapon with him, it's always got some type of electric emission. Is this even considered standard gear anymore when it's bonded to his soul? reminding me of some bleach sword type stuff. Is it even gear at this point when it's bonded to your soul? It can go from a sword to a trident. So you know he's skilled with both a trident or a blade. You clearly see him using a blade. Matter of fact, in raw fighting skills in general, it's implied that he's got some training with Batman. Batman taught him a thing or two when it comes to fighting. He got his own seahorse. Like, he has horses he rides, but they also have their own versions of, like, cast if his arm gets messed up. This is pretty cool looking stuff. An adaptive nano cast. You're probably saying, Aquaman's inconsistent. He ain't strong all the time. The writers pick and choose. Well, there's actually narrative reasons on why his power may look inconsistent in this video. Because when you see Aquaman himself say silly statements like, he can't punch a planet thing to death, it makes you think, oh, he's limited. He's below planetary in raw power and raw muscle, right? Well, let's just say in this newer continuity, a lot of characters improve as time goes by, but Aquaman in general just seems to improve a lot, especially based on the recent stuff. You've already kind of got a taste with the different tridents I've showed you in this video, the different versatile abilities the tridents give him, resisting magic and stuff, but it's more to it than just that. Because in comics, it's talked about how Aquaman could just naturally tap into. This is part of the reason why he can hear the ocean. You could say, like I already mentioned, he can tap into the life energy that's imbued in him by the ocean itself. Like the ocean put life energy in him so he can sense the stuff in the ocean. This is something not all beings have. That's why these beings were trying to take it out of him here, drain him. In this particular situation, he's not inconsistent. He just keeps getting buff after buff. Power up after power up. DC likes depowering people. So there was this situation where everybody lost their powers, of course. Aquaman being one of the beings. Thanks to Amanda Waller's shenanigans. Like, this is actually crazy how depowered he is. He can't breathe underwater right now. Yo. Amanda Waller had this amazing protocol that was absorbing the powers of kids. Yeah. But of course, he gets his power back, but there's still some side effects going on from that event. Like him full-blown straight up having Mira's power to manipulate water. So a lot of times I've showed you manipulating water in this video. He had the water bearer hand. He had the tridents, the different things to help him project energy. But now he just straight up has hydrokinesis, just straight up now. Thanks to him having Mira's power. That's why we see him do crazy stuff like this, lifting up planes and stuff. But he's like everything like he used to be, but on steroids. He can manipulate any kind of liquidish, watery type of substance, not just pure water, but use mud as weapons. He can move the water in your blood, use the blood like razors. He's a bloodbender, basically. He was able to pull the blood of his own that was sucked out of his body back into his own body. We've seen him do blood blades, blood blasts. How often do you see a character do a blood blast, y'all? Or propel himself in the air with blood. Like, he can legit make his own water swords, water-shaped tridents. Just think about all the stuff Mira can do. For example, this is one of the many things she can do, like making her own hydro lance and stuff. Like, Aquaman should be able to do all this stuff, too, that Mira can do. I mean, he literally has to face different water-type beings, and he can dissipate them just from him focusing. He even got some training with Mira. Without his trident, it seems like he can even manipulate ice, make his own ice constructs, you could say. On top of all of this stuff, Aquaman has went through some evolution in the recent developments, narrated here. He can feel the oceans moving through his hair, his hands like wind, like a voice calling to him in the distance. The water rolls over him, and every molecule explains the mysteries of the blue. It whispers, telling him things of Darkseid and his energy infecting the universe, giving chaos the upper hand. This is where we learn that this mysterious thing known as the blue wants Aquaman to counter the Omega. It wants Aquaman to be its avatar, to become unconquerable. And he approves of this. So you can say, this is where this power-up comes from. Think of Aquaman in a similar way like other fundamental forces of the universal multiverse. Like, it's like the fundamental force that links all the animals together in the multiverse. It's kind of like that, but with Aquaman. His is like that, but his is with water, the aquatic life across all the oceans. It's kind of like that differently. So characters like Beast Boy and Vixen are linked to the red, the animal stuff. Aquaman's is the blue, the ocean. Comics even explain what happened to him. He became a vessel for the cosmological force known as the blue, aka power-up. Will this be a permanent power-up? We'll just have to wait and see. It explains the perks he has. He can see things now. He can see stuff he usually wouldn't be able to see. They call him a deity, and in the same conversation, they brought up Superman and Wonder Woman because they're powerful and dangerous. And just in case you think that comparison is an exaggeration, in the very same comic, as you know, Superman is not in his right mind, and he proceeds to start soloing everybody until Aquaman is the guy that gets punched by him, and he's not holding back because he's possessed. Aquaman just shrugs it off. Then it's shown that Aquaman can just do some electric manipulation without his trident in his hand. So yeah, he just straight up has electric power at this point. Earlier, I've been showing him use electric power throughout this video, but never without staff or some sort. But this right here is without the Trident. It seems like now he can just produce electricity. It's not just an exaggeration because even characters in the comic notice, wait a minute, he took that punch. Like even they're noticing the power level increase. Saying he's a god now, channeling something known as the blue. So if you had your doubts about this universe busting kind of power I've been mentioning throughout this video, yeah, you shouldn't have no doubts no more. He's getting hit by a Superman that can punch hard enough to shake a universe-sized structure like the Phantom Zone or just shake universe things is what this Aquaman is eating punches from. A Superman that's not in his right mind. Then him and his crew work together and clean Superman free of this possession crap. And just to reaffirm it, yeah, they talk about Superman is one of the most powerful beings ever. We see him use hydrokinesis to kind of restrain Superman for a little bit, but he says he couldn't do this forever though. That just lets you know how strong Superman is. They bring it up again after everything is said and done about Aquaman's new level of power. They say you took Superman's punch like it was nothing, implying that, yeah, Aquaman's way better physically than what he normally would be. Aquaman says he's become something else. The power of an infinite number of oceans flows through him. They said it, not me. Superman himself says it's not an easy feat to take a punch like that, like it's nothing. At this moment in time, his power is constantly growing every day. When will it stop? He doesn't even know. It just amplifies everything he already had, like mirrors hydrokinesis. He has this, but on steroids. He treats these people like fodder. Aquaman is so powerful currently, they call him the new god. He's become so powerful, other characters are like, okay, why does he need us here? He's too powerful to need our help. Like, all his stats about him has increased, not just his durability and strength, like, but his raw speed. Underwater, there's even narration that says he moved faster than he ever have. Was this video entertaining? Did you know Aquaman got this crazy? Yeah, people got to stop disrespecting Aquaman, man. He's kind of the ruler of the majority of the planet, honestly. I want to hear what you guys think. Thank you, donator. Like, share, subscribe. Hype the video up if you can. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.